What's going on, you guys? We're about ready to start another episode of Jimmy Rants. As always, JimmyRants.com is where you have the central hub for all things Jimmy Rants. This is a show that we start over on Instagram Live. So if you're not following me on Instagram Live, go follow me there. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. We also simulcast on both of my Facebook pages, the Living La Vida Low Carb Facebook page, as well as my personal Jimmy Moore Facebook page. You can see all the past episodes at JimmyRants.com. We also throw them up on YouTube, so type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. We also air bits and pieces of this show on my Living La Vida Low Carb podcast, especially with all the content I've been doing lately, encouraging people in the midst of this coronavirus thing. I have a lot of that audio now playing over on the Living La Vida Low Carb Show podcast. All of that is at LLVLC.com. So how you doing, guys? We're back here. It's a Saturday. We're kind of all in the midst of this lull right now because we've been home. A lot of us are working from home. I've been working from home anyway, but a lot of people are working from home for the first time. You're cramped up with your kids. You're trying your best to kind of live your life. You're hearing messages out there of trying to forecast when this is all going to be over. And in the meantime, you're dealing with some of the stresses that are involved with this. You've got so many people trying to issue challenges with exercise, but you're also getting some funky messages out there. And today on this Jimmy Rants, this is going to be full on rant mode. And you can blame on here on Instagram Live, Ketosaurus Jax. She was the one that brought it to my attention, this story I'm about to read to you right now. And when I heard about it and I read it and I went, what? It shocked me. So we all know right now we're dealing with an enormous amount of stress. And with stress comes the desire to eat foods that you would otherwise not eat. So a lot of you guys follow me because of the keto stuff, the carnivore, low carb diets. And so the temptation has been there. Well, I feel bad, so therefore I want to comfort myself by eating just a few carbs here and there. It's no big deal, okay? So that's what people are telling themselves. Well, this is such a unusual thing, and so let's just go ahead and just give in to the carbs, and I just want to feel better. Okay. I have no judgment for you if that's what you choose to do. But let me tell you, I think if you have to turn back to a crappy version of a fake food-like disease agent, which is what I call garbage, in order to get comfort, then you haven't developed skills about how you comfort yourself outside of food. And one of the things that low-carb keto at least has done for me and a lot of you guys I know as well, one of the things it's done is it's made you shift your thinking when it comes to comforting yourself. Food's purpose in your life is not to comfort you. Food's purpose is to nourish you, to make your body be fueled. You get all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals and all the everything that your body needs to survive and thrive. That's what food's purpose is. So if you're churning to a food-like disease agent, like a cookie or a cake or soda or whatever your chosen form, ice cream, your chosen form of crappy garbage is, in the midst of this crisis trying to comfort yourself, you're not really doing anything to nourish your body, which is the sole purpose of food. So the reason I'm bringing this up is I have this story. Again, thank you, Ketosaurus Jax. She brought this to my attention. This is out of CBC in Canada. Carbs, cakes, and cookies. A dietitian says comfort treats are okay in the midst of this stress over COVID-19. Now let that sink in just a moment. A registered dietitian is telling people, eat all the carbs you want. Comfort yourself with carbs. if that headline alone doesn't tell you what's wrong with nutrition in our world right now, I don't know what will. And it's amazing to me. Now, you're going to hear her reasoning here in a minute, but just at face value, I was like, WTF? Like, come on. Like, what are we trying to accomplish here? Again, if someone chooses to do that, so be it. But let's not encourage it. Let's not tell people, well, this is your permission to go ahead and eat off plan and purposely gain weight, which you'll see here in a minute. Oh, it's okay if you gain weight from this. What? All right, let's keep going. So many people are sitting at home all day, maybe finding that the best way to mitigate your stress is to eat comfort food. No, the best way to mitigate your stress is to breathe deeply and slowly. Is to exercise. Is to meditate. Is to do something relaxing. Is to get out in sunshine. Is to do all the things to rest your body and relax your body in a time of crisis. Not eat comfort food. I'm flabbergasted, guys, that a dietitian would push this. But eating comfort food might lead to a bit of weight gain. But a registered dietitian says, practice a little self-compassion. So to eat junk food is to have compassion for yourself. We're learning so much from a dietitian here today. Practice self-compassion by eating junk food because you've happened to feel a little bit sad and depressed and stressed over this coronavirus thing? Really? Really? Is that the message we want people to hear? Be sure to enjoy a treat or two, but be sure to do it in moderation. Now that's a bunch of crap. Because anybody that has had a junk food addiction, that has dealt with a weight problem, that has dealt with emotional and comfort eating in their past, knows there is no freaking thing such as eating in moderation. You know, if you put your head into a package of Oreo cookies, you're going to eat the whole friggin' package. You know you will. So where's the moderation in that? Speaking of Oreos, I used to get the double stuff, and I would say in my head, I'm going to get 4. And I would have those 4. And I say, well, I only had 4. Let me get 4 more, so that I get 4 more. Then I'm like, well, that sleeve, that one part of the sleeve is almost all the way done. Let me just go ahead and grab the rest of those, and then I would eat those. Well, I ate one sleeve. Let's eat the second sleeve. You see how it cascades? Where you convince yourself you're moderating, but then before you know it, you've eaten the whole friggin' package. And a dietitian should know this. Like, human behavior is always about giving yourself permission to have more and more and more, breaking the diet rules, and then you wonder, why do I not lose weight? Why do I still feel crappy? Gee, I wonder, right? So the dietitian Cheryl Strachan is her name. She's a cardiac dietitian, speaker, and blogger. And she shares why we crave comfort food when we are stressed and why it's okay to eat such a food. Cheryl, shut up! You're not helping people in the midst of this. I get it. People are going to make that choice. But let's not tell them, oh, it's okay. You have an RD seal of approval on your crappy garbage eating. It's disgusting to me that we would have an RD who is supposed to be the purveyor of things that are healthy, giving you permission, so to speak, to eat all the crappy garbage you want. I don't like that message being put out there. I know it's stressful. I know we're living in unprecedented times and people are worried about all kinds of things at this moment. But the last thing you need to be concerned with is your health and your weight, because we know how this script plays out. Let's say you start eating a little bit of the carbs. Let's say you've been keto, okay? And then you start reintroducing carbs because it's stressful and you want to comfort eat. Okay? 2 months down the road, you've gained a modicum of weight. Your blood sugar is elevated, your insulin's elevated. Maybe you were pre-diabetic and now you've moved into type 2 diabetes. You feel worse because the carbs are nutrient void. You've gained weight, so then you feel bad about yourself because you ate your feelings because you want to be comforted in the midst of a crisis. You see how this does not end well. But if you resist that urge and you instead choose nutrient-dense foods that will nourish your body, what you find is those nutrient-dense foods actually calm you. Calm your brain, calm you down, and then when you come on the other side of this, maybe you've lost some weight, maybe you've gained some muscle, maybe you feel better, maybe your mind is clearer. Why cloud it all up with all those carbs, right? You've heard of the freshman 15 when you go off to college. Well, now they're talking about, and this is no joke, guys, the COVID 25. I'm not kidding you. They are saying, okay, just plan on gaining 25 pounds while you're cooped up in your house, got nothing better to do, because we all know there's no other way to comfort yourself and chill yourself out except for eating food that's crappy, right? Many people are sitting at home all day, maybe finding that the best way to mitigate any stress is to just eat comfort food. Are you guys stressed right now? Of course you are. We all are to some degree or another. But you make a choice. You don't sit there and wallow in it. You make the choice of how to deal with it. Some people exercise. Some people deep breathe and meditate. Other people have like a massage chair, or hot tub, infrared sauna, something. And everybody has access. It's a beautiful day here in South Carolina. Bright sunshine, like 86 degrees outside today. It's almost summertime here. So it's a beautiful day to get out, go for a walk. All of those things are far better at comforting you and calming your mind than stuffing your mouth with some mindless carb-full food. Or as I like to call them, food-like disease agents. Why would you do that? It's totally fair and natural to want to eat those carby foods given these unpredictable circumstances, according to registered dietitian Cheryl Stracan. She's a speaker and blogger at Sweet Spot Nutrition. Cheryl. You are killing me, Smalls. The last thing people need to hear right now is it doesn't matter about your nutrition. Guess what this virus is doing? It's attacking people who have poor immune systems. How do you have a poor immune system? One of the biggest ways you have a poor immune system is out of control blood sugar and insulin levels. I was just looking at a video that was posted by a bunch of the people in the keto community. I'll be posting it on social media soon. But it was all about this medical doctor who's on the front lines treating actual patients with COVID-19. And he says he's had 16 deaths in his patient population. 15 of them had type 2 diabetes, meaning they had blood sugar dysregulation, insulin out of control, and it weakened their immune system. The other one was 93 years old. They didn't really know what was wrong with him, but he might have just been dying of old age at that point. But it's shocking when you see there's such an indelible connection to blood sugar. Well, if you're eating crappy garbage to comfort yourself, you're putting yourself at a greater risk that when you do get this COVID-19, your body's going to have a tougher time of fighting it off. So why do that to yourself? It's just amazing to me a registered dietitian would be so narrowly focused on, well, we just want you to feel better, rather than actually giving good nutrition advice. People are biologically wired to want to find foods that are pleasurable to eat. I can think of many pleasurable foods to eat right now that don't involve having crappy garbage. I had a breakfast today. I've got 22 backyard chickens, and they're laying about a dozen to 12 to 15 eggs every day. So I had 8 eggs cooked in Kerrygold butter with some like a variety of cheeses on top. Oh, you want to talk about comfort food? Yeah, baby. Bacon, comfort food. Nuts, comfort food. And it doesn't get any more comfortable, at least for me, than like a ribeye steak or a hamburger patty or something like that. We have to redefine what comfort food means, because I think in the vernacular we always assume it's junk food. Why can't all of those things I just described be comfort food? We all have our go-to keto foods that we eat because we like them. So why do we have to call comfort food all the crappy garbage stuff? It might be comfort in the temporary to help you deal with the stress, because you get that huge boost in your glucose levels, which then lifts your spirits. But what they don't tell you is it gets lifted temporarily before you crash in hypoglycemia. So did it really comfort you? Not in the long term. Right now, this dietitian says, everyone needs an antidote to the unpleasant feelings in the world. We're surrounded by worry, grief, and sadness, she says. I'm not surrounding myself with worry, grief, and sadness. Yes, there are things out there that are very ugly and sad happening. But I don't think you surround yourself with those things. You acknowledge that they're happening, and you do your best to deal in the day-to-day. One of the best strategies I've done is I've not been caught up in like the constant news cycle about this coronavirus. So easy to get drawn in by it. You see one article or one headline on a TV show that you're watching, and then they got you. Then you're in, and you're just like glued to the set, you're glued to the news, and you just click, 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 and before you know it, you're in a severely depressed state, and you don't know what to do with yourself. And you, especially those ones that like predict models of how many people are going to get this, how many people are going to die from it. This is the worst pandemic of our lifetime and forever and ever. And you can just get overwhelmed. Well, that's your choice. You chose to do that. Don't surround yourself with worry, grief, and sadness. But this registered dietitian, well, you need an antidote to all this unpleasant news, so eat up on the crappy garbage. What a bunch of cocky pock. Poppycock? I messed that up. Cocky pock is what I said. Should have said poppycock. I want to say something else, but I'm trying to keep it clean because I know some of you guys watch it with your kids. So, hi kids. When we are under stress, she says, our body releases the hormone cortisol, and eating more is a natural response to that. No. We did a whole Jimmy Rants just on this topic 2 weeks ago. And it was all about why you emotionally eat a little more and what's happening, mentally to you, physically to you. Yes, physically, your cortisol levels are raising, and it does want you to eat more food, but specifically it makes you crave just carbohydrates. So maybe you're leaning towards the cookie or the chips right now, or other sources of just straight up carbohydrate. No fat, no protein, just straight up carbohydrate with it. That's where candy becomes very appealing right now. And it's that straight glucose rise that you're looking for. The simple sugar that then spikes your glucose, blood glucose. And people want that hit. And that's what they're craving. It's not more food. Nobody's running to pile up on kale and broccoli in the midst of a crisis when they're stressed. No, they're going to something that's a fast-acting type of food that's going to raise their blood sugar. Baking brownies and eating more carbs isn't the worst thing you can do right now. I'm going to remind you, this is a professional in the diet world who's saying these things. I wonder how many of her fellow registered dietitians would agree with her assessment. I wonder how many RDs are promoting to their clients right now. Oh yeah, you feeling stressed? You feeling a little bit like, oh my gosh, you can't handle the stress of all this right now? Eat up all the carbs you want. How many RDs are saying that? Yet this one gets published in an article, and we're supposed to believe we're supposed to bake brownies to wash our cares away. What are they thinking? Oh my gosh. She added that now is the time of year when people are usually coming off weight loss diets, meaning their craving for carbs can be a lot more pronounced. Well, number one, if you went on a diet on January 1st as a means for weight loss, you started a diet for the wrong reason. A diet's purpose is not to help you lose weight. Keto's purpose is not for weight loss. You heard me right on this, and I thank my friend Sean Miner, who is here on Instagram, for underscoring this recently in a podcast or something that I saw. But she said keto was never about weight loss. Keto was about healing your body, bringing your blood sugar and inflammation levels down and insulin levels down, putting things back into where they need to be. And by healing your body, then yes, you will lose weight as a side effect. But the primary reason you go on a diet like keto is not for weight loss. If you're still stuck in that mantra, the 1980s called and they want their advice back, because nobody goes on a diet now to lose weight. You go on a diet to get healthy, at least if your eyes have been open to why you're dieting. So this whole nonsense about, well, people are giving up on their New Year's resolution to lose weight anyway, so that's why it's more pronounced that you're going to crave carbs. Then you combine that with having trouble sleeping, having children, working 12 steps away from the kitchen. It just makes it such a perfect storm to just eat your carbs and enjoy your life in the midst of this crisis. What a bunch of crap. Like, do you guys agree with me? Like, this is horrible advice, again, from someone who purports to be all about helping you with your diet. So the dietitian says, don't beat yourself up if you're starting to eat more carbs than usual. In fact, there's evidence that comfort food can alleviate some of the feelings of stress and sadness. Oh, this is such circular reasoning, it's not even funny. Yes, in the temporary, it can comfort you. There's some other things that can comfort you too. If you have a significant other in your house, that could comfort you a lot. And it has no carbs, promise you. But there's all kind of things, and we'll talk about some of those things here in a second. But it's just amazing to me that they're giving you permission to eat carbs to comfort yourself, as if there's no other way to do that. So maybe it's okay to jump on this COVID-25 bandwagon. Just trust yourself and do what's best for you. The problem, Ms. Stracan, is people don't know how to control those urges once they start eating this crap. People are heavily carbohydrate addicted, sugar addicted. And so if you tell them, eat a little, eat it in moderation, what do you think they're gonna do? Go to a grocery store right now. Look at the junk food aisle. It's barren. People are gravitating to that crap. And they're going to come out the other side of this thing going, why did I gain so much weight? Why do I feel so bad? It's no surprise. And it will be the fault of this registered dietitian for promoting it. So if you find yourself feeling sluggish and relying on comfort food a little too much, maybe you should make a change in your diet. What do you do with this nonsense? This is simply a coping strategy in the face of a global pandemic, but people may find that it's not serving them and making them feel better mentally and physically. If people are noticing this is the only tool in their coping toolbox, and you know yourself, if you're overly relying on this, then it's time to rein it in. To tell people that this is a part of coping is the mistake. The coping is all the things but the crappy food. When you introduce the crappy food to a population that's already heavily addicted to these foods, that you're telling them, oh, it's okay right now to eat it because we're going through a global crisis. Come on. What do you think human behavior is going to do with that information? They're going to put their face straight into cookies, cakes, pies, junk food, candy, fast food, you name it. This is incredulous to me. So here's tips on managing your comfort eating. If you're going to do this, it's kind of like the whole, if you're going to have sex, have safe sex. If you're going to comfort eat, have safe comfort eating. Here's how you do it. Lots of carbohydrates are both good for you and comforting for you, says Stray Can. Guys, I am literally like ready to burst out of my skin with this. So if you're going to eat carbs, try sweet potatoes, oatmeal, and pasta instead. All of these can be a vehicle for healthy vegetables. How about you skip all that crap and just eat some meat? That's probably the most nutrient-dense thing you could eat right now. And if we're looking at nutrient density, trying to give you vitamins and minerals, trying to keep you healthy at this time where health is compromised, don't you want to be optimally healthy? You're not going to get it. Not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with sweet potatoes per se, but you're not going to get it from sweet potatoes and oatmeal and pasta and then an indiscriminate type of vegetable. You got to focus on what matters. If this COVID-19 thing has shown us nothing else, it shows us the importance of why we all eat the way we eat. If you notice that, like everything about our culture that's so focused on inferior food-like disease agent type of foods, all of that's being exposed right now. And in the face of that exposure of the populace and how crappy their diet is and how it's impacted their health metabolically, mentally, all across the board, if nothing else, this is hopefully going to be the start of a huge paradigm shift in how we look at what role nutrition plays in our health, which again is something that's been my heart's cry for 15 years, and a lot of you guys the same. You've been out there trying to say, hey, look, your health and your food that you eat, they're interrelated. How about we get with the picture and get with the program here and realize there's a connection between the two, and it took a global pandemic to put the pieces together. Some non-food coping strategies include walking, stretching, meditating, virtually connecting with your friends. If food is your only coping strategy, it can become a problem. The problem is you're telling them to eat carbs. Oh, I'll just have a few little carbs here. 1 hour later. Oh, I'll just have a few more carbs here. 1 hour after that. Oh, just a few more carbs. You see how it becomes more than just moderation? It becomes the cycle of coping. Because every time you get down in blood sugar postprandial from eating crappy garbage, the huge spike, the huge drop, you have to eat again to bring it back up, and then it's a huge spike, the huge drop, and the roller coaster goes all day long. Is that what you want? A lot of us came off of that cycle when we went keto, when we went carnivore, when we went paleo, when we went real food. We got off of that blood sugar roller coaster. Why would you put yourself back on it for a little bit of temporary comfort? Not me. Eat before you get hungry, they say. With little structure at home, consider setting an alarm for your meals and your snacks. Guys, I don't need my iPhone to go off at 2 p.m. to let me know, okay, it's time to have a snack. Biology gives us an internal clock of when to eat. Gee, I don't know. Am I hungry? Yeah, okay, I'm hungry. Let's go eat something. Set an alarm to remind yourself to eat and get ahead of hunger. Like, this is real diet advice from dietitians right now. It's crazy. But the problem is, this is no different than what they would do in a non-crisis situation. Again, speaking of being exposed, we're seeing the ludicrousy of a dietitian promoting very bad diet advice at a time when people need good diet advice now more than ever before, right? Stray Can said to think about all these strategies to help manage your stress and overeating. She also emphasized, don't feel the need to blame or shame for snacking on your favorite treats. I've said it up front, and I've said it many times in these Jimmy rants. If you choose to have something off plan, then you made that conscious choice. What I don't want people to hear from this dietitian is, oh, it's okay, honey, you go ahead and have all them carbs you want. They don't count during a crisis, so yeah, don't you dare worry about it. Don't blame yourself. Don't feel shameful. And so when you hear it from a registered dietitian, you feel like you have permission to eat crap. I don't want you to feel like you have permission. I want you to feel like, okay, if I'm going to do that, it's a conscious choice on my own volition that I decided to do, not because anybody gave me permission, not because anybody said, oh, well, you should just live a little, not because anybody else did anything, but you and you alone made the decision, this is what I want to do. And if you make that choice and you decide to eat some junk food, there's no judgment from me. There's no criticism from me. Just be aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And when you have a registered dietitian just saying, eat all the carbs you want, there's not going to be any consequences. That is incredibly stupid advice. Which is why we're calling them out here today on Jimmy Rants. If you're able to balance it with some of the other things and practice some self-compassion, then it's all okay. We will get through this. Yeah, we will get through this. My concern is when we get on the other side of this, you guys, and people have gained weight and they do have some metabolic disorder, maybe new cases of type 2 diabetes, maybe they're dealing with an ache and pain they didn't have before. Are they going to connect it to that comfort food? Maybe. Are they going to put the pieces together that, oh my gosh, I need to come up with a better plan about how to deal with life stresses? Because guess what? COVID-19 coronavirus is the big stress right now, but we all have daily stresses in our life. This is not strange. Physiologically, how we're responding to this particular situation is no different than the day-to-day stresses of dealing with your children, dealing with family and interpersonal relationship type of issues, dealing with work issues, financial strains. All of that normally stresses you out. What do you do then? How do you handle your stress at that point? When you need comfort, what are you doing to comfort yourself? And so again, this is getting to the root of how we comfort ourselves. So some other things I thought about that you could do: hydrate. Like if you're feeling cruddy and you want comfort, it sounds so weird. People think they're hungry when actually they're thirsty. So why don't you go and drink. In fact, dilly. That's my little drink water phrase, is dilly. So drink lots and lots of water. Be careful of drinking too many like diet soda or anything like that, because they will, or coffee or tea, because they will suck water out of your body. They're called diuretics. And so if you drink like a cup of coffee, you've got to drink not just that amount of water, but that amount of water times like 1.5. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Try meditating, try deep breathing exercises. Don't even allow snack foods in your house that would be crappy garbage. Try to load up on the foods that you can have that would be within the context of your diet. Make sure that you're trying your best to stay chill. This is the big thing right now. The reason people are stress eating and trying to comfort themselves is they're not allowing their brains to just calm down. Like, I get it. There's a lot of concerns right now, and people are worried about all kinds of things. And of course, people came into this already worrying about stuff in general anyway. All this has done is exacerbate that issue. So maybe this is your time to learn how to cope better. And we don't learn how to cope by giving into the carbs. We learn how to cope by realizing there's lots of non-food options when it comes to coping with the stresses of life. All right, so that's kind of all I wanted to say on that, but I just found it incredibly obtuse that a registered dietitian of all people would dare just give in to the carbs because you need to be comforted. How ridiculous is that? I want to see if you think it's ridiculous. So we're going to go to Instagram Live first. We have time. We'll go to Facebook Lives. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Living La Vida Low Carb Facebook page for being here. And hello, Instagram Live. Welcome in, welcome in. As always, go to jimmyrants.com to see the past episodes and type in a keyword Jimmy Rants over on YouTube. And you can see the show there as well. Mama 3 Chick says, ugh, I stress ate some garbage and I'm having a hard time getting back off. Today is the day. Don't beat yourself up. I agree with the dietitian in as much as don't blame and shame yourself. It's easy to do that, especially those of us who eschew carbs regularly. I get it. If you need that little hit, okay, fine. Get it done with, and then get back on plan. The problem is what you're expressing here. It's incredibly difficult once you have some of that in your mouth to undo that damage. People definitely don't need a dietitian telling them to eat that, says Mama 3 Chicks. Exactly. Beth says, I just passed up garbage at the convenience store. I looked at it though the other day. I gave in to an all-out binge. Yeah, I think I told the story the other day on Jimmy Rants where I was in this local 7-Eleven like down the road from here, and I was getting a diet soda, and on the way back to the front was all this crap, and I looked at it too, Beth. Did not give in that time. I'm holding up pretty strong, but I know not everybody has that ability. Ilza says, day 2 of being quarantined. I'm fighting snacking. Can you imagine if I was eating carbs? Yeah, that would be crazy, right? Heather on ketones. No freaking way. Heather. This is crazy, is it not? Already ate Scrabbler, so if I'm drinking a Bloody Mary every day, then I'm having an issue. Looks like the party is at your house. I'm missing out on the party for sure. A client sent me a voicemail yesterday where she said it's amazing what foods they got. In the past, they would have stocked up on cookies and other junk food. Instead, they got vegetables and meat only, confidently. Ilsa, that is awesome. You taught them so well. No such thing as moderation. No. Moderation is just a generic, whatever you want to define it as term. I've always hated that word, eat in moderation, or eat a balanced diet. That's the other one. Another rant for another day. Beth says, moderation has not once worked for me. It only 100% leads to a binge almost every time. Every single time. Sam says, if I eat carbs now for comfort, I'm going to feel bad. I already feel bad enough being trapped at home. I can't even go to the gym. That's such a sucky reason I don't like it. Yeah, I miss my gym right now too. I do want to do a Jimmy Rants, by the way, outside. It's incredibly hot this week, so I don't know if I want to go outside flipping a tire when it's 87 degrees. But if it gets a little cooler, I will probably take the cameras outside and show you guys how I'm flipping a tire. Shelly says, meat is so much more comforting. It is. It's comforting, and you're able to be satisfied for many hours after that. She said, I just had a pound of brisket. Oh, girl, you are after my own heart. I am the king of brisket. In fact, I'm kind of sad KetoCon is being possibly delayed because they're in Austin, Texas, and across the street from their Palmer Event Center is this really cool barbecue joint called Terry Black's. If you've never been to Austin, Texas, and you've never been to Terry Black's, oh my gosh, get the brisket. You will thank me later. Shirley says, I shop for people's groceries daily. It hurts me to see how much garbage these people are eating during this mess. It's what they know. That's the thing, Shirley. If they knew better, they would do better. But they know crappy garbage. I'm hoping that this disruption in our life opens a lot of people's eyes to habits that they didn't even realize they had. Coastal Mom says, carbs always negatively affect my mood. Going carnivore balances that out, and I believe has helped me through all of this. Yeah, I've been so chill, you guys. Really, I have. Not that I'm an overly worrisome kind of person, but eating meat and eggs and fat and protein and very little carbohydrate has been glorious for my mental state. And so maybe you're struggling right now. Maybe you're like, well, I'm having my keto snacks and I'm eating all these like keto cookies and keto pies, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's time to strip it down to just meat or meat and vegetables and see how you do. Shirley says, OMG, I just can't with this dietitian. Yeah, she's a piece of work. RDH Scrabbler says, just buy toilet paper and carbs and everything will be just fine. That is what they're doing right now, though. This is something I will probably never understand. Stress eating isn't even on my radar screen. I'm one of those people who doesn't like eating when stressed. I guess my body knows what it's doing. You've got a smart body there, Shirley. You should definitely trust the wisdom that it's giving you. Thank you, Instagram Live. Let's pop over to Facebook Live. What's up, you guys? Just a reminder, Living La Vida Low Carb Facebook page. I can't see you, but I do read your comments when we're done, so please feel free to chime in and I will look at those when I'm done here. Hello, Facebook. Let's see what you guys have to say. Hello, Amanda in New Zealand. Hope you're staying safe over there. Wanda says, yeah, get your mind off of food. Just stay busy. That's a good one, too. Like, have you wanted to read a book? Like, there's a lot of books that I've wanted to read. Got plenty of time right now. Read a book. Want to listen to music. Just anything that relaxes you. Norma says, I'm sitting outside enjoying the sun, reading my Bible and another book that I'm almost finished with, drinking a grape Zevia. Robbie says, I'm a dietitian. I agree with what you just said. It's so true. Robbie, it's incredulous. Like, dietitians like that one give people like you a bad name. And I think it's amazing to me that a dietitian, of all people, like a medical doctor would be bad, but we kind of give them a pass because medical doctors don't really know anything about nutrition. Dietitians, they went to school specifically about nutrition. And I get it. Cortisol raises the stress hormone in your body and it makes you want to have comfort, but you should explain to people why the body does that and what it's actually seeking at that moment. It's not seeking a hit of carbohydrate. It's seeking a way to bring that cortisol down, and carbohydrates in a refined form of grains and sugars will not bring that cortisol down. If anything, it keeps the cortisol up. Now, will you get some comfort temporarily? Of course you will, but it won't last. Carbs for comfort, oh brother, says Nancy. Yeah. Shelly says, thank you. I've been keto for over 2 years now. The struggle is more real now than ever before. I don't need help from any well-meaning people with terrible advice. Thanks again for your encouragement. Thank you, Shelly. I had to call her out. I'm not a registered dietitian, so obviously I don't have the training that she does, but I do have a lot of experience in seeing people deal with the ravages of sugar and carbohydrate addiction. I've seen it time and time and time again from people. And when they get that blood sugar roller coaster under control by not giving in times of stress is when you see people thankful for your work. And so, yeah, that's why I had to speak out here today on Jimmy Rants. Norma said, I had my meltdown on Monday, was totally out of control. Since then, I've been doing great again, back to carnivore keto, and I feel much better. Hey, have your moment. If you need a moment where you have that, fine. You chose to do that. What I don't like is a dietitian telling you it's okay. It's kind of like at Christmas time. People always joke, "Oh, the carbs that you're eating now, these don't count." I always heard like family members talking that way around Christmas, and I'm going, "They don't count. What do you mean?" And obviously, I knew what they were saying. Why are you worrying about dieting? It's the holidays. And so some people are having that same kind of mentality now. Why are you worried about your diet? We're in a crisis situation. The world's coming to an end. Jesus is coming back soon. And that's how they're thinking. Rhonda says, I'm so subject to the emotional eating pitfalls, but I know that keto will keep me in the best health situation possible right now. That is more important than ever before. It is. It really is. Berkeley says, I don't trust any dietitians. Well, they're not all bad. There's a lot of good keto dietitians out there doing great work, so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But most of them that are still tied to the American Dietetic Association, and let's not forget, some of the major contributors to the American Dietetics Association, which parrot all these like eat junk food things, are funded by Coca-Cola and Little Debbie snack cakes, and I could go on and on down the list of all these major sponsors of the dietitians. So of course a dietitian could throw out there, well, go support my sponsors. They're giving us a lot of money to tell you it's okay to eat in moderation. Don't doubt me on that one, you guys. Denise says they want us to be sick, so we need them. Yeah. Americans are wimps. We want the easy way. Well, not all Americans are wimps, but the ones who give in to this, they could be described as that, I guess. Berkeley says it raises inflammation levels to eat like this and makes you more susceptible to illness. It does. And especially with, like what I said earlier, this doctor who's treating COVID-19 patients on the front line. He's had 16 patients die, and 15 of them had type 2 diabetes. That's not by accident. And they're finding people that have higher blood sugar and insulin levels and lower levels of cholesterol are the ones that are having the most trouble with this virus. And so don't you want to eat in such a way that lowers your blood sugar, lowers your insulin, lowers your inflammation, raises cholesterol in a healthy way? I think you do. Ashley says, I think a cup of white rice is okay, some ketchup, some frozen cherries, or adding onions to a carnivore way of eating. Screw the sweet potatoes and pasta. All right, let's see. White rice, ketchup, frozen cherries, and onions with some meat. Are you gonna like mix all that together, Ashley? That's kind of gross. I know you're kidding. I know that's not what you meant, but I'm kidding. Sorry, I'm a little giddy. It's a Saturday. Tracy says, I used to do that, alarm set for snacks and meals, and I ballooned up to over 200 or almost 200 pounds, all 5'1" of me. Yikes. But you got out of that. That's the good news. All right, you guys. Thank you, Facebook. Let's go back to Instagram Live, see if there's any other comments that came in. Texas MK Lady Jessica says, this has definitely been a wake-up call to make me realize I need to get serious about keto. And I love, if that's your reaction to what's going on here, I think that's great. I think if nothing else, guys, we've learned that there is, and a lot of us already knew this, but there is an indelible connection between the food you eat and your ability to fight disease. Now, we've talked about that for years. I've been out here talking about this for over 15 years, trying to tell people what you eat matters in your health. And when it takes a global pandemic like this to bring that to your radar screen, maybe this is your wake-up call. Maybe right now, more than ever before, we need to be using this as a platform for letting people know, hey, look, if you're worried about this COVID-19 coronavirus, why don't you eat in such a way that you boost your immunity, that you're preventing this kind of thing from harming you? If you're eating a nutrient-dense diet and not eating crap, then you're going to get healthier. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to explain it's not about the calories. It's not about fat clogging your arteries. Are you finding that people maybe are a little more open to hearing you if you've been talking about it? Now, obviously, we're not using this crisis to proselytize anything, but I think you use it as a teachable moment. And if we let this teachable moment pass without people knowing that there was an indelible connection between your diet and this disease and disease in general, then we've missed a huge opportunity. Jessica says, I've heard of a couple of cases of healthy people dying of COVID. I'm wondering if they're unknowingly insulin resistant. I wonder if they described them as healthy because they were thin. There is this phenomenon called thin outside, fat inside, TOFI. So you could be TOFI, which makes you thin on the outside, but you could have major insulin resistance going on the inside. Blood sugar dysregulation, insulin way out of control, inflammation levels high. We just don't know what's going on inside the bodies of these people. And so that's why advice like eat all the carbs you want to comfort yourself is just plain silly, which is why I wanted to bring it out here today on Jimmy Rants. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, go check us out. We're on Instagram Live. We do simulcast on Facebook as well. But go follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, please follow me. I put lots of good information on my main page. I do stories and, of course, these Instagram Lives. We go live on the weekends at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, Sunday. During the week, 11 a.m. Eastern. And if I feel good a certain day, sometimes I'll do a second one at 5 p.m. Eastern during the week. You can also go to YouTube, type in the keyword Jimmy Rants, you'll find the show. And we also air bits and pieces of this show, the highlights of the best, over on the Livin' La Vida Low Carb Show podcast on Tuesdays. So go check that out, llvlc.com. So guys, until next time, we'll see you then. All right.